I like the freedom that I get to be able to go explore the world or explore things that like interest me or like get the support to explore the things that interest me at the right time.
What you need is a brave space. You need a space where children can be themselves fully and they can figure out what it means to be themselves fully.
Yeah, children are people. They have different brains, they have different amounts of experience in the world, so they need some support. But that doesn't mean that they're not competent. They're observing all the time of like what they need to navigate this world independently, and they want that. And so we just need to provide them with like time and space and support, and as much as we can, get out of their way.
And once you give children freedom, what does freedom mean? Does it mean independence to go do as you please? Does it mean as a community we're free? And a lot of different people have taken that different ways.
We do that 5 days a week. And then Friday, we have another all-school meeting called Check-In. Boundaries are something I talk about a lot, which is very interesting because there's the idea that this is a school where you let children do whatever you want all day, but you can't have freedom without boundaries. If you don't know where the edges of things are, then you're not safe to explore within them.
This was a Chris Mercoliano story. A kid who went to Albany Free School, kindergarten through 8th grade, came back to the school after his first year of high school in a conventional high school. And Chris said to him, how's it going in public school? And the kid said, it's so easy. All you have to do is what they tell you to do. And I really think that gets at the sentiment of it. For me to say to my kids every day, what are you going to do with your day? It's a real burden to place upon them. It's a lot of responsibility to place upon them.
I gain social skills that I wouldn't be able to have. I gain the right to know what I want when I need to know it. I gain the ability to control my life in a way that I wouldn't be able to in a conventional school, or like create my self and education in a way that benefits me and where I'm going, instead of not being able to control what I do and having to learn the same thing as everyone else.
Playing is how kids learn. I didn't make this up. This is ancient. It is how adults can learn too. And it's crucial. It's not something you can just take away without any consequences.
Okay, do you feel comfortable cutting that out? I can help you. Corner to the center, which is right there. You want to help me? Will you press down that corner nicely? Nice and smooth. Nice.
Play really is hard work at this age. I mean, when you have teachers that are very inclusive, kids really learn appropriate social and emotional skills through play as well. So I think when we're considering best practices for this age, play is really the most appropriate and the most meaningful.
I personally believe in the, like a natural curiosity that's coming from kids.
Wait, how many
And kids are so interested in things, so interested. Maybe what they're interested in is not what you would see as a traditional academic topic, but it doesn't mean it's less important, and it doesn't mean that it's not supporting them in development and in learning.
One thing that we also try to do is just create an environment that in which people are seeking knowledge and fostering curiosity. Learning can happen, it's not a class, but I'm sitting around with a group of kids and we're talking about like the death penalty and whether that's a moral thing, and that's a great moment of learning that's not in a class.
Sometimes we have conversations where people are confusing learning and education with schooling. And a parent had this whole conversation about all the offerings happening and all the things that happen between offerings, like all the learning kids are doing and how rich it is. And because there wasn't a moment where there was a row of kids sitting at a desk with worksheets, she was like, sure, but how do they learn anything? And had totally just missed, like, was unable to divorce her image of what learning must look like.
This is a school that encourages students to be very authentic and in that to be very vulnerable, and that vulnerability and that authenticity really allows for incredible moments of growth as an individual and as a whole community. And that's, I think I just like struck a thing. That is what I actually love the most about the school, is its acceptance of failure and understanding that you need to fail to get somewhere better.
Imagine an environment where you feel safe and supported. It's what good parents do for their kids, their little kids. So what you do for your babies and toddlers is what we do, but we do it at an adolescent level. And so that initially for people, it sounds kind of nutty, but I say really, if you believe that the way we raise kids, babies and toddlers, what we do is we create safe space for them, and then we provide them opportunity in that space. And when they pick up a particular toy, we don't yank it out of their hands and put something else in to tell them that's more valuable. So when you feel safe and supported and acknowledged for who you really are, you will do marvelous things. We just don't know what they are. But instead of making you all do the same thing at the same time in the same way with the same people, we want you to be involved in it. So it's a partnership.
I've learned how much of an effect every member of the community has on everyone else, especially in such a small community, and also just in that, like, as an older student especially, my behavior is a model for younger students.
Oh, age mixing is something we haven't talked about, which is the secret ingredient in all of this, that you can't segregate children by age. If you segregate them by age, it all collapses, it all falls apart, because it's the older ones who are taking care of the younger ones. The younger ones are looking up to them and saying, wow, this person's able to do this and this and this. I want them to learn how to do that, and I want to learn it from them.
It can be annoying because little kids are little kids and teenagers are teenagers, but it's fun and interesting to see how I impact the younger kids and how they impact me, and how we all have to change the way we be in the world to reflect on each other. And I think that's a good lesson to learn while you're still young.
You can always teach, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, but you can't teach a child to interact with another. So they learn that themselves by doing, by seeing, and it all starts with relationships.
Be in an air show, okay? And the goal is to get to an air show.
Quick, M&M portal. Okay. Oh my gosh, she's back! Ah! I saw you and you jumped down, so I just kind of jumped. Portals are weird. What? No! Quick, push her
The world is not segregated by age. And I think that there's a lot of ageism that's just built into those structures of, first grade, second grade, third grade, and this is all you can do and this is what you can do, and everybody's the same age as you, and then you start comparing kids to each other, which is really unfortunate because it stifles people's abilities to explore what they're actually capable of. And so what we see here are kids forming authentic relationships with people based on interest. You can have a 9-year-old teaching a 12-year-old how to play a game because they actually know how to play that game.
So why bring them together? Because age mixing is how humans have learned throughout history. And in our particular case, this is the group that we're working with. But those high schoolers can mentor the middle schoolers, and the middle schoolers are constantly looking up and trying to learn from them.
The school is a vibrant blend of co-creative experience between parents and students and teachers.
We are a Waldorf-inspired high school. It's really about balance between engaging the students with their head, their heart, and their hands. And that's the most simplest way I can describe it. And so we want to have a nice balance of academic rigor, but also promote some empathy and understanding through the heart, and then practical life skills is really essential. One of the basic things here at Youth Initiative is that arts is infused through everything, right? We talked about the head, heart, hands. The art is the feeling part.
I think it's important because it teaches to the whole person, and I think art is something that raises the spirit. And when you incorporate that into a science or a math class, it's helping take something that is primarily logic-based or, could easily get into a rut of thinking and expanding it into the realm of creativity.
I think in Youth Initiative we get to have a lot of really great discussions. It lets you be an individual rather than a set of letters and numbers.
We don't make admissions decisions based solely on who has the best academic achievement. We don't make staffing decisions based on who has the highest degree. We have teachers with PhDs, we have teachers who haven't graduated from high school. We draw from the local community for not only people in the classrooms, but also what is taught in those classrooms. So there's an exceptional amount of freedom and creativity.
Everything that's a problem, everything that would be a crisis or would be a hurdle in other schools becomes an education, part of the curriculum, right? And that is, I find, to be really rewarding and enriching, and also, pretty successful way to run an organization. Right? Think about, problems like that are opportunities, right? The problem of how you fund the school, the problem of how you keep it clean, the problem of how you keep the peace in the school. Let's look at it. Let's read about it. Let's experiment and try it out. So I enjoy that a lot about the school.
So we're a homeschool resource center. So kids come through the door and start working on projects and games and reading in the library, and then we'll have a morning meeting and we'll talk about some of the projects that we're all working on and give the kids a chance to tell each other what they're working on so that they can collaborate.
This option of leaving school to direct your own education is available to everybody like tomorrow. Right, in every state, right? Like it's legal, homeschooling, you can just do it. Inside of that framework though, there's a huge difference about how you can do that. You have sort of the school at home. And on the other side is some people call it unschooling or self-directed education or whatever you want to call it. And it's really just child-centered in the sense of, you're starting with young people and their interests and who they are and what they want. And really the curriculum unfolds through their interests and what they want to do.
I do like teach myself how to do other stuff. So I love this class. It's like a scientist class. It's like chemistry, but it's like it like learns you like we're like a lot of questions. Like today we are going to make paper airplanes and let them fly. And then like this one crashes right away. It's like, why did yours crash? Because my tip was bent. Like that. We learned to draw and write French. You don't write different, you like spell it different. Also, we learn songs, we dance, and je ne parle pas français, what I just said was, I don't speak French. So it's a joke.
I think what a student can learn here that is quite unique is a sense of ownership over their learning process, I would say. Is a sense of realizing that the direction of their learning, which is tied to their own inner interests and their drive and their purpose in life, that's something that no one can really figure out for them. So I think that's super valuable. Learning how you can define excellence and success for yourself, and learning how you can kind of not be drawn from the outside, but drawn from an inner reflection of like, why do I want to do this, or what's motivating me, right? Even if you don't have it figured out, because no one has it figured out when they're 17 or 18.
And I think that self-directed learners do that all the time, where they're able to muddle about with things, and have the confidence to be able to muddle about, and when they want to learn to read, then they're so excited about it. And when they want to learn math, because they've applied it to something meaningful in their life, and really it's about meaningful work. And otherwise it's just some useless abstraction that somebody's told me that I'm going to forget, or at best resent, but know. Yeah.
So Pacific High School is the alternative high school in Sitka School District. We use the same educational standards as the traditional high school for English and math and science, all of those, but we get at them through engaging topics that the students have a voice in determining. And it's very student-focused and student-centered rather than teacher-focused and teacher-centered. So we approach our students and families of what do you need from us, rather than this is how we need you to behave for us in order to make us comfortable and able to do our work.
Pacific High has this amazing opportunity to provide homemade meals for the student poverty population, and we have this commercial-sized kitchen in which we operate out of. And so all the students who've taken my class have a food handler's cart for 3 years after the class. It's cool in the sense that like kids can take this class and go on and actually like say on a resume or to an employer, I have some experience working in a commercial-sized kitchen. So that's really neat. I think there's so much that's integrated with food. It makes it exciting for students to be part of that, to like start to understand the story behind food and just how integral it is in our culture.
Oh, at Pacific High, I do a life skills class. It's basically taking the kids and we do hands-on skills. And we're pretty much working across the board with math, science, and I'll even throw in local language, Tlingit, and it gives the kids some skills, that they can use in real life.
I think it's wonderful for kids to experience not just the Tlingit culture, but the culture, I guess, of the Sitka community.
Position of this location. Can any of you explain why we're getting GPS points? What we're going to use GPS points?
One of the fun things here is for life science classes, like go to the woods, go to the shore. So one of my classes is called hemlock fluting. And so the guiding question is, what % of the hemlocks in Totem Park are fluted? They can't answer that. They can't answer that in high school. The goal at the end of the session is for them to do that presentation at the park. And so there's a fair chance that adult community members will show up and learn science from them, which is a pretty compelling experience for high school students.
Pacific High is very unique. You're not treated as the jocks or the popular one. It's just a big family. Like, you're all together, and it doesn't matter what you wear, it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter what you're doing during your time at Pacific High. All that matters is that you're there.
I always joke, like, we're all little weirdos here, but everybody is. If you really felt comfortable to let your freak flag fly, like, what would you be doing if you didn't feel judged? Kids aren't worried about what they're wearing here. They're experimenting with makeup and all of these different things. I love seeing the tenderness between boys, how they care for each other, how they touch each other. They hold hands at our school. That's really important.
Another question I get is like, so if you're not forcing kids to learn, how are they going to know that they're interested in something if you're not making them do it? And the answer is that they will encounter it in some way. They will encounter it because somebody will know them really well and be like, I think you might like this. And because you've built a relationship based on mutual trust, they know you have no ulterior motive, but they actually might like it. And they'll be like, yeah, let's give that a shot.
Object, moving it a small amount, taking a picture, and doing that over and over again. And then when you string those pictures together, you get the illusion of...
It really rests on a foundation of good trust amongst all of us. Like, we trust the teachers are doing their best, and we hold students in their highest light, trusting that they're going to do their best even if they're not at the moment, and that parents are also helping support that, that they're also, they're giving us their trust.
Our teachers treat us as though we are adults, which is a really wonderful gift. It also, it makes it kind of hard because we have to step up and be adults. But that being said, we really try to respect our teachers' time. It's not always perfect because we're teenagers and we're not perfect, and no one is perfect.
This is a school which functions on a really human scale, not a sort of industrial scale. It's not very efficient, but it is built on real sort of person-to-person relationships. So yeah, it makes the school kind of feel like a small town or a big family. It's pretty easy to respect each other when you're in that close of confines and when you know that person pretty well. So.
This is a school that empowers students. The students are on the curriculum committee. They're on the hiring and personnel committee. They hire and evaluate teachers. They are full voting citizens of the school corporation, right? But at the end of the day, the decisions that they make are collective decisions, right? So a curriculum is what everyone is going to experience. And so in that, there's going to be compromise. And I think that's exceptionally powerful in terms of forming citizens, right? Citizens of the world, citizens of a particular community of the country.
So engineering, nanotechnology, fabrication of tiny little things.
So a democratic school is a place where there are systems in place for students to share in decision making. And that can exist in a public school, that can exist in a club or an aftercare program. And for that to work in any setting, you have to be really clear about what decisions kids have the opportunity to make. And that's a really important foundation for anything that's going to call itself democratic. The kids have to know what they are able to make decisions about, what they have the right to make a decision about. And then as an adult, you have to keep to that agreement.
We are trying our best to push back against young people's oppression and to really think about power and how it functions in school environments. And just holding that as adults in that space, we come with power, and how do we give that privilege and power up? But I think it challenges every part of who we are.
3 unchangeable rules are to take care of yourself and others, to take care of our space, and to respect the freedom of others. And what's beautiful about those is that everything falls into one category or another. Any conflict that comes up, you can kind of draw a line to one of those.
Conflict resolution is one of the only mandatory parts of our school, and it's part of our contract with our families. If you come to this school, you will participate in conflict resolution.
The goal is to resolve, get back together, become friends, Well, they probably already not hurt each other. Not hurt each other, exactly. Be more. It's definitely not punishment. That's the thing. It's definitely
no one gets
the opposite. It's nobody's in trouble. They're just trying to resolve a conflict that they have.
When you get challenged, it's not you're in trouble. It's I would like to talk about this with you so that
we can work it out,
and it won't happen again in the future.
It's this whole thing that all ties up in a knot, and when you go into the room to resolve the conflict, it just unties that knot.
Should I do this?
All right, so restorative practices starts with circles. Everybody can see everybody else. Anybody can speak. If somebody's speaking, everybody else can hear. And so the core idea of restorative practices are about building community, building connections, recognizing diversity. And so when a conflict has happened, how do you handle that? Restorative work says there's conflict here. What can we do to understand that conflict and then restore joy, respect, and balance and the ability to move forward? One of the things I love about our school is we are willing to recognize when we are part of the conflict, whether that's things we're doing to add to conflict or things where we don't quite know what to do to help somebody move forward.
Take the ideas from each of these.
Restorative practices is based in indigenous cultural practices. Sitting in a circle and passing a talking piece and giving each person their time to say what they need to say is not anything new. It's been happening for thousands and thousands of years. And so really it's about getting back to those more traditional ways of communicating and living in community.
Something has to support you as you go through your life. There's things happening all the time that are supporting us that we don't always pay attention to. Within this setting, we want you to recognize that and contribute to it. So community awareness is this idea that you are part of something bigger than yourself.
I think that schools should focus on social justice because they build a stable community. Social justice in that it's understanding the differences that our government and institution and societies have set up, and it's holding responsibility and accountability for that, and to heal anything that has been hurt.
You really can't have democracy without social justice, and you can't have social justice without democracy. Like, they need each other to function.
What's the problem with Chief Wahoo? Like whitewashing it, I guess, and then turning it into like a costume or a joke in some way.
Our freedoms are connected, and if I can't feel free if you don't understand how white supremacy works, I don't think it's, not that it's easy, but it's easier to think about racism that exists in the larger world. We could all do that. But to think about how it functions right here in our dynamic between two of you, that's the real work. That's the social justice work. Like that, to me, like doing it, like really thinking about us here now.
Strange, because the ancient one is supposed to be Asian.
Yeah, that's whitewashing.
It looks more appealing to white people. Yeah.
Having those conversations about racism and sexism, just having the conversation. So many people, I'm not racist, I'm not racist, I'm not sexist, I'm not sexist, because they're actually scared to explore the gray area within.
There's nothing wrong with Seahawks.
To you, but to me, I find it deeply offensive.
Wait, why? Wait, why? I'm just lost.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a frequent response.
There's so many people, even if they aren't racist, who aren't willing to go there and examine that within themselves. And if you can't do that with yourself, then you can't do it with anybody else.
And we need to engage, we need to create community again. And I think that so much of this isn't really even about school, it's about community. It's about people caring about each other and coming back together.
You need mad skills to make it anymore, and the more skills you can gain and the more education you can get, the better your chances are for survival. Not just as a person, but as a community and as a whole. And put it out there even further as a planet. I mean, it's going to take a lot of collaboration just to survive.
I would rather be here than fighting for what I want in a regular school, because I think people just need to understand that we are kids. We understand you perfectly fine. You just have to listen to us. And I think a lot of people should learn that.
You can learn at your own speed, and no one will push you into doing anything unless you encourage them to.
Yeah, because I think that for a lot of people it can feel really stressful, and to do it like this is a lot more comforting, and you feel like you have what's the word? Control over yourself and what you do. And also to have help to do these things is also very important to me. Basically that. Yeah.
I love that I can have fun. It feels really special to be able to be in a place where, to some extent, the rules of, social hierarchy between adults and children are sort of gone. We're all here to have fun, and we're all here to learn, and we definitely have to respect the teachers, but teachers also have to respect us. And I think that because we can all have fun and feel comfortable, there's a lot of seeing eye to eye on the fact that we're all humans and people. It definitely feels special because of that. Coming to a place where I know I'm gonna have a good day. It's cool.
What were you trying to accomplish?
Get into another dimension?
Okay. Yeah, what was the goal?
Howard Thurman. Here's my favorite quote in the world. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it, because what the world needs are people who have come alive. And I think that people who go through this model of education have been asked, what is it that makes them come alive? And so they're going to grow up. A.S. Neal says, I would rather graduate a happy street sweeper than a neurotic prime minister.
You shouldn't be able to just make a framework of how
like one way of a person could learn, because people learn so many different ways.
School does not have to look the same everywhere you go. It's a humans institution with humans in it, and so it should look radically different from one town to the next.
To me, that gets to the core of the question, what if schools were different? If you could create your own magical school, what would it be like? And it's that kind of thinking that really gets me excited. I get goosebumps just talking about it.
The most magical thing about this work is that it exists in community and in relationship with each other that's authentic and organic. And learning that way and being that way has been so healing for me as an adult who was raised not at all like this. But the thing that's most exciting is that my dream is to raise children who don't need that kind of healing work, who can skip this part of it and who can go straight to the creating the magical next world. I read a lot of science fiction, and I know that there are more exciting worlds than this one, and I can't wait to live in the one that they create.
Playing pirates in the sand, muddy footprints in the house, forced to change our dirty clothes. We get dirty again though, finding clouds that look like dragons, falling down then getting up again, always looking for new friends. I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, yes I am. I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, yes I am. At the beach just looking at the waves, climbing rocks and discovering new caves. This a wild child will never behave. In the backyard making mud towers, having to take a million showers, pretending we have powers. Oh yeah, I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, yes I am. Wild child, I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, yes I am. I take a look around me, what do I see? I see a world that's wild and free. 'Cause I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, yes I am. I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, yes I am. I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, I'm a wild child, yes I am. Yes I am.
That was perfect.
Oh my god, I got chills.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
It's about